Welcome, welcome, welcome back. I just have to say one thing before we move on with the show, that this year has flown by so fast. I feel like a skipping stone over the lake when kids play Skip the Rock. This year just went somewhere else. Did we even have a 2023? It's gone. Not really. We had some good times during this time. But the bottom line is that it did go so fast. Our minds are so bombarded with so many things that I would say are not important, but we still latch on to it. And it makes me wonder, really makes me wonder, the mind control that goes on, or how engaged we are with this thing called social media. Like, we're so engaged with it. Do we even take the time to even live life? Really live life and feel life. You understand? So that's where I'm kind of coming from with that. So for me, I want to slow down a bit. I want to take the time and take the scenic route. I want to smell the roses. It sounds like some old man type stuff, but you know, I'm very positive, right? I want to level up and be ready. But the thing is, I do realize that if I double my age, what will I be? So at 60 years old, I'll be 120. Could I make it? I'm quite sure I can. But chances are it may not happen. That's not my concern. My concern is the present. And in the present, I want to extract more enjoyment out of life, as opposed to being bombarded with things that fill up my head, that keep me disconnected from nature, disconnected from the world. Yes, so I'm just checking the sound on this end. Okay, it's good. It's good. I just checked it through my phone to make sure everything is coming through loud and clear, because we had a show the other day that the sound came through, but it was kind of muffled sounding, distant. And I guess I had one of my buttons off. So I want to make sure all the time before I even start that everything is going through fine. Anyway, let's jump right into the topic, y'all. But before I do, I want to say Renee Green, Swin Joe, NFN Shaka. Let's hear it for the people who don't know where you're from. Let's get a roll call every time we come into the show. And I know it can be redundant, but it really adds to the international flavor to know that we have ears all over the place. So, yes, we're going to do something for the new year coming in, but I have a challenge with that. Do I stay up for the stroke of midnight, or do I wake up real early? Because really and truly, the East Coast is where I center all of my content on, and I'm 5 hours ahead of the East Coast. So for me to say Happy New Year for the East Coast, I have to stay up till 5 in the morning, right? See, so I'll be saying Happy New Year when it's 7 o'clock in the evening for you on the East Coast. Doesn't matter. It's the spirit of everything. We're going to make something happen. Maybe a combination of a live show, and then all of a sudden we go to the conference, you know, and do it there for all of those who are invited, and we can hold up to 100 people. So yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. You know, well, I'll figure it out. But if I'm out and rounded about, it will still happen. Trust me, it will still happen. I have it rigged up, and I'll put the links out there like I do everything else. But I will do another show right after, maybe like about an hour after this one, to really focus on the new year in the state of mind that I think we should. And I'm not telling anybody what to do, but it will be a show that suggests a few things, right? But I want to talk about this. People are going to get the wrong idea about the aim of this particular program, so I'm going to have to set the record straight. The title is Avoid Women Who Are Married to Their Son. I am not trying to insinuate anything that is inappropriate on a physical level. I'm not trying to insinuate that there is something going on a incestuous level. No. I'm not talking about that. But you know, on the banner, you only have so much space to put the title, and you want to come with punch. You don't want to write a paragraph. But then again, one word wouldn't do either. But I put the visuals up. And so what are we seeing in these visuals here, right? We're seeing a man next to a woman. And the man looks kind of shocked, because the woman who's in the wedding dress is kind of holding on to the son. And this is symbolic. And everybody's looking confused. As they should be. So many of our sisters, and again, a disclaimer, this is not about all single women who have children or have sons. This is not about all. I'm not saying all. Let's get that straight before you try to fry me in the comment section. I'm saying some. And in saying some, it's a whole lot who have this thing that I'm going to explain full blown. And there are going to be some who, you know, a certain touch of it. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be the full thing, right? Different ranges of it, okay? So let's get down to it. And let me just explain. Okay. We have women out here, not all single women, and some, I'm not going to say it no more, who have been disappointed in relationships in the past, who have been hurt by relationships in the past. And they feel that it's not going to work out for them. There may be a fear, and it may be a thought or something they have affirmed. Like they'll say, I'm never going to find somebody. I'm never going to find a man of my own. I'm never, right? Bitterness will set in. And they'll look around for the male energy that they want in their life. And sometimes subconsciously and sometimes consciously, from what I've experienced in relationships like this, or relationships that almost got to relationships, or proximities that almost got in relationships, until I had to run. Because the man is going to realize that that man who's interested in her is going to realize he can never have her completely. He can never have her completely because she has substituted that son as her husband, not sexually, but on an emotional level that she feels she can depend on because it's her son and he's never going to leave her. Do you understand? And a lot of women do this without even realizing. They don't say, I'm going to focus on my son and make him my man. But what does this do? This puts undue pressure on the young son. Now, I'm not going to say it's a son who is maybe 12 years old. Yes, it could be 12 years old. It could be 8 years old, right? Whatever the age, that mother has given him more time. She takes him out to places, not bars, of course, but they go out together as mothers and sons and even daughters should do, but a little too much. She's bitter at the thought of trying in another relationship. So it's like, okay, it's just me and my son. And there are women who have daughters who they put in the same position. Of course, it's not going to try to make the daughter a husband, but you have some women out here who have their daughters up on them like that all the time. And the man can't even get a chance to have free time with the woman he's interested in, because everywhere you look, and in this case, the son, but it does have the elements with the daughter also, but there are some elements that are unique to the mother-daughter emotional crutch relationship as opposed to the mother-son emotional crutch relationship. So I'm focusing on that today, hence the banner up front. So the son begins to feel not necessarily that he's the husband, but he has power in the mother's life and a measure of control because she gave it to him. And it's a proximity that is so dysfunctional and develops or exposes the young boy to a position that he's not emotionally ready for. And it should not be the mother. And this is not simple because there's repercussions down the line. This has lifelong repercussions. And if you happen to be that single woman who has made your son the replacement or the focal point to receive all of her womanly energy, and we're not talking anything incestuous, we're not talking anything inappropriate on a physical level. She talks to him in areas that she should not speak to him on. See, she has made him, the son, the shoulder to cry on. And she reveals maybe not every gory detail of her relationship on an intimate level with another man, but damn near. He hurt me and I'm just so lonely and I feel abandoned. Don't worry, mommy. I'm your little boy husband. I'll be here with you. and you have that with daughters also. There have been daughters that I've heard say to their mother, after the mother has said, well, you know, you're going to get older and you're going to fly the coop. And I need somebody to love me and be with me and be a companion to me. And the daughter said, well, mommy, I can love you. Come on, little girl. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. So now when I say they activated, these mothers activate this thing inside the son, those feelings that she has activated in him as a young, immature boy, he should eventually have activated when he meets someone of his own. But here's the catch. Down the line, after being an emotional crutch and a substitute husband and a substitute male energy for that mother, when he gets older, she's going to cling on to him because instead of her healing, meditating, being to herself, getting to learn herself, and healing from the failed relationships or relationship that leaves her in a place to want to use her son as an emotional crutch, if she didn't get into those things in the place of healing, she will cling on to him more. And when he figures it out that, hey, I need somebody of my own, and he may not figure it out in time because there's someone that he needs on his own has catered to him in every other way than what a girlfriend should. It's almost like eating junk food. You eat so much junk food that it does nothing for you, but you have the empty calories in you that banish hunger. So you don't need, or in your mind, you think you don't need the nutrition from the good food. But after a time, you'll crave that nutrition. And what you need from the female in your life is not something that a mother can give. You see what I mean? So this is very important. But now, the aging mother who has used that young son as an emotional crutch and a replacement male energy, an insurance that she never gets hurt because it's my son. He won't hurt me. So I'm going to invest all of my love, all of my attention so that I have this eventual man in my life. And we're not talking sexually, but he can be there and he'll always be my little baby. He'll always be my son. He'll always be my little man. And that's a damn problem because you put him in a position now that's going to hurt you. And how is it going to hurt you? Well, guess what? And I've just seen this in real life. I don't need a script to talk about this. I jotted down some points on the red flags and what we need to do in a healthier situation. But I've seen this time and time again. And I'm breaking it down specifically in different cases. Now that mother is getting older and she's content, even if the son lives somewhere else, because we'll try to keep him in that house. He'll be 25 years old in that house with her. He'll be 30 years old up in that house with her. And ladies, you have to be careful also of these types of mothers, because when you come around and you're interested in that son who has grown up now, you become instantly the enemy of that mother, the enemy of that mother who clings on to him, the enemy of that mother who sees you as a threat to take her man, her son, her male energy, her crutch away. And what is she going to do if you take that man away? So just like the young boy was made to feel like the man of the house, and we're going to talk about that too. I just had to go through that whole different thing. So we're going to talk about a few different scenarios in this situation to kind of, bring it up to where we all could see it, because these are topics that I like to talk about between us as human beings and our proximities and the dysfunctions that we can untangle, not to talk about it to make fun of it, not to talk about it to exploit it, but to talk about it and put it on the forefront of our conscious minds so that eventually we can work toward healing it. Because you don't go to the doctor when you're in pain and refuse to tell him where the pain is. If you want healing, you have to tell him the symptoms and the things that you're feeling. Does it hurt here? Does it hurt there? No, it doesn't. Does it hurt here? How long has it been hurting? On a scale of 1 to 10, how severe is the pain? So we need to do these self-checks within ourselves for healing. And we also need to do these self-checks in our interpersonal relationships, because you can't give all of your love as a mother to a son as a crutch. That's putting him, you're using him. That's no different than parents who use their children's name and social security number to get credit to run up a bill. And now that child didn't even hit legal age yet and has bad credit because you had bad credit and you wanted to use his for your benefit. And where does that leave him? These single mothers who are this way, they are very selfish when it comes to their sons. They are using their sons. They are warping their son's mind, and they're keeping him in the nest too long. Even if you're not under the same roof, you're keeping him in the emotional nest when he should have been pushed out. I don't mean pushed out in the evil way, but developed properly so he would want to utilize his wings and go and fly away. You see what I mean? So in these situations, let's go back to the beginning. She's been hurt. She's a little bitter. She's upset. She's had failed relationships when, in my mind, I hate to use the term failed relationships, but that's a common term that most of us use, and I use it because of that. But there are no failed relationships. If it didn't work out and you got out of that relationship, it's like a chisel chiseling down a beautiful sculpture out of marble. You've learned from it. It's only failed if you did not learn from it. But if you learn from it, hopefully you didn't spend a lot of time in it to take up too much of your time, but you're a better person now because you know where not to step. It's like a person who has a huge backyard and 3 dogs back there that have nowhere else to go to the bathroom except go in the yard. You better put that light on so you know where not to step. If not, you're going to have a slippery, stinky surprise when you step in the wrong place. So we have a man who may meet you on a job, a man who may meet you in the supermarket or the bank, a man who may meet you in the house of worship. And he sees you with your young son and he inquires, wow, it's a beautiful young lady and I like the way she carries herself. I wonder if she has anybody. You don't see a ring on her finger, but all women don't wear rings all the time, or it might be in a relationship where it's not a marriage. And so you say to yourself, well, I'm going to approach her in a decent way. And I am interested from afar. I don't know this woman, but I would like to inquire if she's involved with anybody. And if she is, I'll back up. The problem is when you approach a woman like this, she already feels as though she has her masculine energy pack in her life. Her masculine supply is already filled, but you know, that son can't do certain things with her. So she still has her cravings. Although she's still in the back of her mind, wishes she had a man, a grown man on her own. She's already fully vested in the son being the emotional crutch. You see, when you walk with crutches, it's a time that you can walk with those crutches. And it's a time that you need to put the crutches down because you're healing. If you're not healing and keep walking with the crutch, there's something mighty wrong. Now, in this case, your son should not be an emotional crutch. That's wrong off the bat. So when this man realizes that you are single and he speaks to you in a decent manner, and eventually you begin to exchange numbers and speak over the phone, and you want to get to know her because you are interested in her. And this is the way men should speak anyway. If you're interested in that young lady, you don't just say, hey, I want you to be my girl. Well, first of all, she's not a girl. She's a grown woman. And hopefully you make the choice of a lady. You know, the amenities with a woman or a female, let's just say female, they already come intact, right? The genitalia, the hips, you know, the body, all the things that separate a woman from a man. So Any real man will state his case because he's interested in you. And he should say that. It may not be the first time he speaks with you, but if he speaks with you on a regular basis, or even it's a one-time thing, and say, listen, I know I don't know you. You don't know me, but I am a man who's single, and I would like to talk with you and speak with you and get to know you a little more on a light level, no pressure. You know, if you're open for the conversation and dialogue, I'll be willing to open up to you all the way and let you know all about me. And I'd like to, over time, get to know about you. And if you have the feeling to move forward and move to a deeper proximity and a deeper relationship, then let's go ahead and do that. I like that, you know? So, you know how some men try to be slick? You know what I mean? That never works. That never flies with me. Be upfront. So you have a good man or a parent good man who's approaching you, but you have this dysfunctional relationship with your son who feels down after you've poured so much into him. He is like a flower that opens up and grows under artificial light. It's not really the real son. So you've activated your son to have a control or over an area in your life, and he doesn't want to let it go because it's a righteous proximity with the wrong person. It's a righteous proximity with the wrong person. He should not have that proximity in your life and be knowledgeable of certain areas of your life, because at the end of the day, he's not your friend, he's your son. He's not your lover, although we're saying that this is not an incestuous thing on a physical level, but it's an incestuous proximity. Well, I guess that's my favorite word of the day, right? Proximity, right? But it's an unrighteous positioning that he should later on have for the young lady that he dates, and as he gets to be a man, or one that he eventually marries or commits to, whatever it is that they do. But just selfishly activating those feelings, just like the parents who use the child's credit. Child don't know what's going on. He just want to get a little toy car or something like that, but he got like $50,000 worth of debt on his name, and he's walking into a mess. And you did this, and this is the same thing. You're helping your son to walk into a mess. So now he has these possessive feelings for you because he's the only young man in the house. You spoil him to ensure that he keeps coming back to you and staying there, because these are the things, the amenities that you give him are going to be the things that you throw up in his face when he gets older and seeks to find someone else of his own, not his mama and her emotional bondage and trauma that she's using him to help pick up the pieces of. That's exactly what it is. I'm shooting this from the cuff, right off the dome. So when now he seeks to go, and I'm all over the place with this, but I think I'm making sense. When he seeks to go out on his own, how dare you, son? How dare you? It's almost like the girlfriend that he gets is an affair, like he's cheating on the mama. This is how sick it is. But we act like it's not like this. These single mothers, and again, this show is not about an attack on single mothers. This show is not to say that all single mothers who have sons have these unhealthy relationships, but a whole hell of a lot of them do. And guess what? It's too many. Do I have statistics on this? I don't think anybody does. But most people, and especially most men, have seen this, right? So I'm not damning single mothers who have sons or a son. But these things happen and play out and destroy potentially great relationships with a man that you can have of your own, because you don't want to leave the security of a son who is your flesh and blood, who you know is always going to be your son. So you invest in him. If you buy a house, you'll mention to the new man, oh, I want to give it to my son. Anything you do, if you have a man in a budding relationship and you buy him a nice bracelet on his birthday, you already know that he has done so much for you, so you have no problem, spend a little money on him. The son sees that, mommy, Who got that relationship? I'm sorry, who got that bracelet? For Mr. Bill. Let's just call him Mr. Bill. I did for his birthday. Whoa, where's my bracelet? Where's mine? And why would he say that? Because he feels as though he's your man. So now you messing with the son now, because I've been your man for the last 4 or 5 years as an emotional crutch. But now there's this next Negro coming up inside here, and you bought him a bracelet and didn't buy me one. So now it's a tit for tat thing. So now you got one foot on one log in the lake, in the river, and another foot on another log. And one log represents your son, and the other log represents that new man in your life, if he can even get that far. Because see, most men these days are hip to this kind of thing. And when they see this dysfunctional positioning, they ease on out of it. Ease right on out of it. Calls less and less. Too busy to come by and swing by. Because when you went on a date, now your child is really young. Of course, he's got to get a babysitter or some family that can look after him. And that's the way it should be anyway. It should not be in the developmental phase of your new relationship with a man that boy even sees what man looks like until there is a commitment of marriage. Not no commitment of boyfriend, not no commitment of hot fling. You had this man coming over your house before bedtime and your son can't figure it out. Mommy, you were up from early this morning. Why? He may not even say this to her. Why is he coming by so late? So the kid gonna force himself to stay up. And you're gonna try to keep one foot on one log and one foot on the other log. Well, son, it's bedtime. No, it's not. Not with him here. What is that man doing inside? Really wants to say my house because you made him feel that it's his house. And any masculine positioning should be his domain, even though he's your son. But now you want to switch off the emotional crutch to your liking, but you can't do that. You want some dick now, and so you can't shut it off. So now you let him stay out of guilt, staying up. And you and the man sitting out in the living room. Now y'all know y'all want to go into that bedroom and do what you got to do as adults. I'm not saying that you should do this at this phase of the relationship. I'm not even condoning that boy should see that man anyway. I'm just saying how real life goes. This is how a lot of women do. He's just a nice man who came over to watch TV. Well, how come he looking at your titties like that? You got him going to the bathroom and he was looking at your butt. Some of these sons will say that. Now, they ain't trying to step to you as a son like that, but they already know these kids are smart. They got Instagram, they got TikTok, they got YouPorn. When they say on there, do you swear that you're 18 or over? Kid, no, he's 12 years old. Talking about, yeah, because he want to see what's going on. They got the memes that they show. These kids know what's going on, and you ain't gonna stick nothing in my mama, and you ain't gonna act like your thing is a toothbrush, and you trying to clean her teeth off. It ain't gonna happen under my roof, and I know this technically is not my roof, but my mama made me feel like I'm her man, and we can't have two dicks up in here, even though she can use yours, but I'm the man of the house, because if you hurt her, I'm gonna be here for her. She has used me as an emotional crutch, and I'm not going to go back and fit into a little box after I've been expanded in my knowledge that I am the man of the house. You see what I mean? So that's what it does. So now he's sitting up fighting sleep. Oh, listen, little boy, you need to go to bed. No, I don't want to go to bed. He laying there, not even watching the TV no more. He acting like he's sleep watching y'all. And you see the hands kind of squeeze the thigh, and that's your mama. And you get up, mommy, he's touching you. Don't you see that? Look, it ain't cock blocking because you groomed your son to be this way in this positioning. It ain't cock blocking. You got to face the consequences. So now the man's getting frustrated. The man likes you and everything. And maybe you think you can dip into the dessert before you make the full commitment. You try out the goods to see, because different people have different priorities. I want to commit to the man if his thing is soft and can't get hard, or he can't do, maybe his breath stink, or maybe adults do what they do. I can't knock you on that. You have to face the consequences of your decisions. But you have to, as a single mother, face the consequences of your decision when you have made your son your surrogate husband. You can't get away from that. So the man realizes ain't nothing going to happen. And he say, well, listen, I do have to get up in the morning. I thought I'd get a couple hours of sleep here, but, you know, it ain't going to happen. And so you kind of get pissed at him because of your burden. No, your son shouldn't be a burden. But your son will be a burden when you make him your husband. And he's blocking you now. So it's a burden. It should not have been. First of all, you shouldn't be bringing no man in your house anyway. Now, some will check, make sure the son's asleep and slip the person in, but you got to be out of here by 4 a.m. I know about that. I've experienced that before. Do what it is that you should do, but you should not have that situation set up where your little boy feels as though he's the husband. Now, like I said, eventually, that girlfriend of the boy is going to be your enemy. Because there's not going to be anybody good enough for that young son when he gets old enough to date and be interested in women. She's going to find a flaw with that girl/woman. It's all gradual. I'd be teenager and eventually in the early 20s and 30, whatever have you. And that mother is not going to let go from those emotional bonds being a crutch. That mother might date. That mother may have a boy toy, not a boy toy, but just some other man that they deal on a physical light level, nothing emotional, because she has her claws and investments sunken into that little boy who, I don't care how much of a man he gets to be. This is you saying, single mother, he's still mine. And they always have that talk, that scathing talk with that woman that the son is interested in. And it's not always nice. So, what are your intentions with my son? Huh? Because I raised him up and it was him and I don't want his feelings hurt. You ain't worried about his feelings. You worried about your male guaranteed supply, male energy that will never leave you because your ass been hurt in relationships in the past, as we all have, and maybe you had something to do with it. Maybe not. I don't know. But I find that many women who have had flaws and something to do with the breakups or the relationships that never really panned out, is something usually, I'm not going to say wrong with them, something that they don't want to acknowledge. This is why they can quickly, in a dysfunctional way, turn to their sons and groom their sons to be the husband. It's sick. So now you're getting older and you're afraid you're really going to be alone. And you invested your energy that you should have been investing in a potential mate when the opportunity presents itself, because it's not always going to present itself. Ladies, you're not looking, right? But sometimes years can go by before you find somebody who is a worthy candidate for your love and attention. Because a lot of guys out here these days are full of games. And they can look good, they can act good, they can say the right things, but you find out at the end of the day that they're rotten. Not all men, but some men, but too many men. Especially those playing the game because they know that you tired of that battery-operated boyfriend at night and you want somebody to talk to. You can get an orgasm on your own. But after that, the sweetest feeling of the orgasm is after. Do you bask in the afterglow of that beautiful orgasm, hugging up and kissing your battery-operated boyfriend? No. Oftentimes, you'll feel even lonelier, and now you're out of line because you have released yourself physically, but emotionally, you're still backed up. Mentally, you're still backed up. You put that battery-operated boyfriend back in the little side dresser up under the panties so nobody can see, just in case he opened it up, and you'll use it the next time. But it brought you a partial satisfaction, right? That's like eating a hamburger with no ketchup, eating a frankfurter with no sauerkraut, no mustard, having lemonade and you ain't got no sugar in there. What kind of mess is that? So you understand that that's not going to satisfy you. But you grill this young girl or woman that is now either dating or with your son, who has a right to have someone on their own, but you dipped into the masculine energy before it was ready for anything like that, and it shouldn't have been with you. Again, we're not talking anything incestuous or physical, but because it's not, it's just as bad. It's just as bad. I mean, that's the ultimate wrong stuff to do, to be messing around with your own child. But that's just as bad because the scars and the imbalances and the dysfunctions behind these unions, you don't see, but it's quite evident. So now he got to deal with this for the rest of his life. As you get older, you're going to try to make him feel guilty for being with another woman. And every time she comes around your place, you might have an apartment, you might have a house, she's going to find something wrong with the performance. And this doesn't mean it's a performance like that's all it is. This is just the word I'm using. The performance of your wife as a wife. Well, you know, son, I wouldn't have done it this way. You know, I would have did it this way. You know, is she taking care of you good? I don't know. It don't look like it. You look like you're losing weight. What kind of food is she cooking for you? Your clothes look a little dirty. She could have took a little time to iron it out. Now, see, she may not be on this like 24/7 every time she's around you, but every time she's around you, she's going to give a slight. She's going to complain about something about what your wife, what your woman is not doing, because you are that son who is the substitute husband, but now you pulled away, and this woman, you know how they get mad with this, man, woman, this woman took you away from me. And forevermore, I'm not going to allow you to be happy with her. She's flawed. She's not as good as I am. I'm your real wife. I'm your mother. I gave you birth. There's no other woman out here who knows you like I do. I'm the one who changed your diapers. I'm the one who washed your little ding ding all between your balls and fed you. You had the flu and almost died. I was there for you to nurse you to health. Well, damn it, mother, you should be doing these things. These are not things that you throw up in a son's face. But you knew that you had him as an emotional crutch. And so now that he wants to spring out on his own, and usually the sons that are used as the emotional crutch and the husband replacement, the surrogate husband, they develop later in life as opposed to a young man who had a healthy relationship with his mother and, of course, father, right? But we're talking about these specific dynamics because, you know, when I talk about a situation, I like to go in surgical precision. And this is life stuff talking because I've been in this position. Not as no surrogate husband. I had a very healthy relationship with my mother and my father. I'm talking about trying to date somebody who has a son who's letting you know I'm the man here. And he'll annoy you. If it's a little boy, they'll annoy you. They know them feelings too, you know. They can be 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old, but the mother made them feel a certain way. And they come around and do something on purpose. You got a nice suit on, they got grape juice, they spill it all over. Yeah. Make you want to smack the kid. Not abusive, right? I got to say that, but it's like, get out of here. He's always messing with me. Always doing something nasty. Stood up in front of me and played the food I mean and sneezed all in my food. And little demon kid, because the mama made him feel like the man of the house from young. And those are the worst ones, the ones that are made to feel that way from young, because they mark in their territory. Like a dog who pisses on a tree around his house. All the trees are in his, got his urine mark on there. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these sons whip out a little ding ding and piss on the man's leg, letting you know this is my territory. You see what I'm saying? Scarred, messed up, right? So what I'm going to do, we're going to keep this one short. I'm not stopping now. We're going to go down the list of the red flags and the way we should handle it in these types of relationships, right? What's the red flag? Of early identification. The son consistently takes on adult responsibilities and roles within the household. We're not talking about the responsibility of taking out the garbage or the responsibility of feeding the dog, the chores that children should have, the menial chores that don't stress them too much, to teach them responsibility. And then over time, you increase it. You don't put a child in the situation of having adult responsibilities and roles within a household. You know, I mean, if a son sees his mother crying, Mommy, why are you crying? There's nothing wrong with that, because children love their parents, and especially sons love their mothers. But now it's wrong for you now to put that child in the adult situation of explaining why. If you're heartbroken over the breakup, that's none of your child's business. You don't bring him into that. You really try to hold your emotions and don't cry in front of him because he's going to want to know. And what are you going to tell him? You hold that back. Or you even have to straight up lie. Well, you know, son, I used to have a dog that I loved so much, and I saw a TV show, I saw a commercial a little while ago that had the same exact dog, and it reminded me of my dog, and I love my dog, and, you know, I remember the day I found him, he was in the yard, he got bit by a snake and had a seizure, and it just broke my heart. It's okay. Mommy will be okay. So, oh, okay, something the kid can identify with. But you don't sit here and try to break it down for no 6-year-old, no 9-year-old, no 12-year-old, not even a 15-year-old. You keep them away from that. Look at the parents, the old school way, right? Who the kids never heard them argue. They might have waited for the kids to be at school. They may have taken a ride in the car. I mean, one of the kids might have been like 19 or 18, so you can leave the house. You have like 12-year-olds and 8-year-olds. They get in the car and they drive around and hash it out. But they never, ever, ever let those children hear them have a disagreement. And those are the kind of children that grew up and say, I know they had to have some kind of disagreement, but we never heard it. We never saw it. It was never on our radar. You see what I mean? So you can't put them in those positions. And what's the positive way of dealing? When was the red flag of the son consistently taking on adult responsibilities and roles within the household? The positive way is the mother encourages age-appropriate responsibilities for the son, allowing him to grow naturally. I got them numbered here. Number 2, emotional boundaries. What's the red flag? The son is overly involved in the mother's emotional life. Did we say that? Acting as a confidant for adult matters. How a little kid gonna be all up in your mother's emotional life and being the one that she confides in? That is so incestuous on an emotional level. What's the positive way of dealing with this? The positive way is the mother maintains appropriate emotional boundaries, seeking support from friends or professionals, not your damn son, because that's going to help him feel territory over you when you start to date somebody and he wants to run them off because I'm the man of the house, mommy. My mom made me. What about me, mommy? You creating a monster. Number 3, interference in relationships. We done talked about this. We have to read it out officially. What's the red flag? The son actively interferes in the mother's romantic relationships, causing conflicts and tension. Actively interferes. Why does he actively interfere? Because you made him feel he can do so. What's the proper way, the positive side? The mother establishes clear boundaries, ensuring her son respects her personal relationships. But see, when you break up with that man, there ain't no clear boundaries because you want him to be a confidant. And once you start that, it's hard to stop. It's like a dog that you have in the house, right? And then some people, I never had no dog in the house. The dog got to stay outside. But the dog is in the house, but you get him used to eating off the table. You feeding him table food. So when he sees you sitting at the table, you got guests over, he coming up, looking at you like, what happened? Well, yeah, you usually feed me. Might jump up in the guest plate and eat the food out of the plate because you got that dog spoiled. You see what I mean? So you got to be careful. Number 4, manipulation tactics. Red flag. The son employs manipulation, such as accusing the new partner of wrongdoing. Mommy, I saw Mr. Bill in the supermarket when I was with my friends coming home from school, and he was with this other woman, and the woman, she had one of them bodies that most men like. And when she got out the car with him, he squeezed her butt. And you know it's a lie. It might be true. Young men out there listening to this, if it's true, tell on him. Because you will save your mother heartache if he's trying to play your mama. I agree with that one. But don't make nothing up because you feel you're the man of the house and try to drive a wedge between them. Oh, mommy, he was peeking at me when I was pee-peeing and I had my ding-ding out and he was looking at me and licking his lips. You see the insinuation? Because kids will do that too. Because they know you want to take power back and, accuse the man of something. What's the positive way? The mother addresses conflicts directly and discourages manipulative behavior. Deal with it direct, right? But on a molestation tip now, we have a lot of mothers who don't deal with it direct because they want to keep that man in the house around their daughters or their sons. That's a whole different topic, but I said since there's a little overlap there, let me just mention that. Number 5, lack of independence. What's the red flag? The son shows reluctance or inability to engage in age-appropriate social activities without the mother's involvement. He wants the mama involved in everything because you involved him in everything. What's the positive way of dealing with this? The mother encourages the son's independence and supports